What if I told you the most powerful cleaner in your home right now isn't that $15 bottle of Miracle Spray, but this 90-cent brown bottle hiding in your medicine cabinet? Grandma knew it, the hospitals know it, and today I'm showing you why the big cleaning companies hope you never rediscover these 25 clever hydrogen peroxide hacks. We're going from sanitizing your kitchen to a secret trick for your garden that will leave your neighbors wondering what your secret is. And stick around for hash 1, because it's a food-grade secret that most people get completely wrong. Number 25, the Grout Reviver. If you have ever gotten down on your hands and knees and scrubbed tile grout until your arms gave out, only to see almost no difference, then this hack is going to change your life. Grab a spray bottle and fill it with undiluted 3% hydrogen peroxide straight from the bottle. No mixing required. Spray it generously along every grout line you want to treat, then just walk away. Leave it for a full hour. Come back and you will notice the grime has actually lifted and loosened from the surface without any aggressive scrubbing at all. What is happening here is a chemical process called oxidation. Hydrogen peroxide releases oxygen molecules when it contacts organic matter like mold, mildew, and built-up soap scum. Those oxygen bubbles physically break apart the bonds holding the dirt to the grout's surface. The discoloration essentially gets dissolved from the inside out. A light wipe or a soft brush afterward, and the grout looks almost new again. Number 24, the Sponge Sanitizer. Kitchen sponges are honestly one of the most germ-laden objects in any home. Studies have found bacteria concentrations in kitchen sponges that would make most people never want to touch one again. Grandma's fix was simple and costs almost nothing. Mix equal parts hydrogen peroxide and water in a bowl, about half and half, then drop your sponge in and let it soak for 10 minutes. The peroxide penetrates the sponge fibers, and the oxidizing action kills bacteria by destroying their cell walls. Rinse the sponge thoroughly afterward, and it's genuinely sanitized. The difference between this and just rinsing a sponge with hot water is enormous, because heat alone does not eliminate most of the dangerous bacteria living deep inside those foam cells. Number 23, the Sick Room Shield. Grandma did not wait for cold and flu season to hit the whole family before she took action. The moment someone in the house started running a fever, she went to work on the surfaces everyone else was touching. Doorknobs, light switches, the telephone handset, and especially the thermometer all got wiped down with a cloth dampened in 3% hydrogen peroxide. She did this twice a day for the entire duration of anyone being sick. Hydrogen peroxide is genuinely effective against many common viruses and bacteria, including influenza strains, because the oxidation process damages the virus's outer protein coat, rendering it unable to infect another cell. It is non-toxic when it dries, leaving no chemical residue, which made it the perfect solution for a household with children. Number 22, the Fruit and Vegetable Wash. Even if you buy organic produce, you are dealing with natural molds, handling contamination and residue from shared transportation and storage. Grandma's trick was to fill the kitchen sink with cold water and add a quarter cup of 3% hydrogen peroxide. She would drop all her fruits and vegetables in, give them a gentle stir, and let them soak for about 15 minutes. Then she rinsed everything with fresh water and let it air dry. The peroxide helps break down waxy coatings applied commercially to extend shelf life, and it oxidizes pesticide residue that plain water simply cannot dislodge. Produce washed this way also tends to stay fresh a bit longer in the refrigerator, because surface mold spores have been neutralized before storage. Number 21, the Toothbrush Detox. Here is something most people never think about. Your toothbrush sits in your bathroom, exposed to everything floating in the air every time you flush the toilet. Bacteria accumulate on the bristles between uses, and no amount of rinsing under the tap fully addresses it. Fill a small cup with 3% hydrogen peroxide and let your toothbrush soak bristle down for about 10 to 15 minutes. You will actually see a faint fizzing action happening right there on the bristles. That bubbling is the peroxide reacting to organic residue trapped between and beneath the bristles, in places your rinse water never reaches. This is especially useful if you have been sick, or if you just want the peace of mind of a genuinely clean brush every week. Number 20. The humidifier helper. If you have ever switched on a humidifier after it has been sitting in storage and immediately noticed a strange, musty, almost swamp-like smell filling the room, the culprit is microbial growth inside the water tank. When you refill your humidifier, add about a tablespoon or two of 3% hydrogen peroxide directly to the water tank before you turn it on. The peroxide prevents bacteria, algae, and mold from establishing themselves in the standing water. It breaks down harmlessly into water and oxygen as it runs through the unit, so there is nothing harmful being dispersed into the air. Your humidifier will smell clean, and the mist it produces will be free of the biological contaminants that cause that unpleasant odor. Number 19. The bloodstain eraser. Grandma swore by this one above almost everything else, and she was absolutely right. Bloodstains on fabric are organic, and hydrogen peroxide is perfectly designed to break them down. The key is to work quickly and use cold water. Pour 3% hydrogen peroxide directly onto the fresh or even dried bloodstain without diluting it. You will see it fizz and foam almost immediately. That reaction is the peroxide oxidizing the hemoglobin in the blood, breaking apart the protein structure that makes bloodstains so notoriously stubborn. After a few minutes of fizzing, blot gently with a clean cloth, and the stain will come up remarkably well. Never use hot water on bloodstains, as heat sets protein stains permanently. This method is far gentler on fabric than chlorine bleach and leaves no chemical damage behind. Number 18. The refrigerator deodorizer. That mysterious smell lurking in the back of your refrigerator is almost always caused by mold colonies or bacteria feeding on microscopic food particles you cannot see. Spray 3% hydrogen peroxide on the interior walls, shelves, and especially the drawers and crisper bins. Let it sit for 5 minutes, then wipe everything down with a clean cloth. Unlike baking soda, which simply absorbs odor temporarily, peroxide actually kills the microbes at the source. The odor does not come back as quickly because the biological cause has been eliminated rather than just masked. Grandma wiped her icebox down with it regularly and never understood why her neighbors complained about mysterious refrigerator smells. Number 17. The cutting board deep clean. Wooden cutting boards develop tiny knife grooves over time, and soap and water simply cannot penetrate those grooves effectively. Bacteria love to hide in there, and this is a genuine food safety concern. After washing your board normally, pour 3% hydrogen peroxide over the entire surface and let it sit for 10 minutes. The peroxide seeps into those grooves and kills the bacteria living inside them through the oxidation process. Rinse with water and allow the board to air dry fully before putting it away. Do this weekly if you use your board for raw meat or poultry, and you will have a board that is genuinely safe rather than just visually clean. Number 16. The garden root booster. This one surprises people. A very diluted solution of hydrogen peroxide, about 1 teaspoon of 3% peroxide per cup of water, can actually be beneficial when used occasionally to water plants. The extra oxygen molecule in hydrogen peroxide breaks down in the soil and releases additional oxygen directly to the root zone. This extra oxygen promotes healthy root growth and, critically, prevents root rot by discouraging the anaerobic bacteria and mold that thrive in waterlogged, oxygen-poor soil. Grandma used it on her seedlings and her potted herbs, and they always seemed to get a stronger start than anything her neighbors were growing. Number 15. The mirror streak-free secret. Commercial glass cleaners work largely because of their alcohol content, but they can also leave behind residue from added fragrances and dyes. 3% hydrogen peroxide used straight from the bottle in a spray bottle gives you a streak-free mirror and window surface with zero residue because it evaporates completely as water and oxygen. Spray it on. Wipe with a lint-free microfiber cloth or even newspaper, and you get a finish that is genuinely crystal clear. No streaks, no filmy buildup, and no chemical smell lingering in your bathroom afterward. Number 14. The yellow armpit fix. White t-shirts develop those stubborn yellow stains in the underarm area from a combination of sweat proteins and aluminum compounds in antiperspirant. Make a paste by mixing 2 tablespoons of baking soda with enough 3% hydrogen peroxide to form a spreadable consistency, roughly 2 tablespoons. Apply this paste directly to the stained fabric. Work it in gently with an old toothbrush and let it sit for at least 30 minutes before washing normally. The baking soda acts as a gentle abrasive while the peroxide oxidizes and breaks apart the discolored proteins and chemical compounds causing the yellowing. Grandma used this religiously to keep her husband's dress shirts looking presentable for Sunday services. Number 13. The trash can terminator. Even after emptying and rinsing your trash can, there is an invisible biofilm of bacteria coating the interior that is responsible for that persistent smell. Spray the inside of an empty rinsed trash can generously with undiluted 3% hydrogen peroxide. Let it sit for 10 minutes, then rinse and allow to air dry in the sun if possible. The peroxide kills the bacterial and fungal cells in that biofilm, eliminating the smell at its actual biological source rather than just covering it with artificial fragrance. Doing this once a month keeps the bin genuinely fresh between deeper cleanse. Number 12. The Earwax Gentle Dissolver. This is one of Grandma's medical cabinet uses that many people have actually heard of but never tried properly. Using a clean dropper, place 2 or 3 drops of 3% hydrogen peroxide into the ear canal while lying on your side. Now here is the part everyone loves. You will hear it. A soft, gentle fizzing and crackling sound inside your ear as the peroxide makes contact with earwax and begins to break it down. That sound is the oxidation reaction happening against the organic material in the wax. Let it sit for about 5 minutes, then tilt your head and allow the liquid to drain out onto a tissue. This helps soften and loosen wax buildup gently and effectively. If you have any ear pain, a history of perforated eardrums, or tubes in your ears, skip this one and see a professional instead. Number 11. The Toilet Bowl Brightener. Pour about a half cup of 3% hydrogen peroxide directly into your toilet bowl before bed and simply leave it overnight without flushing. By morning, the peroxide will have worked through the mineral stains, the ring around the water line, and any bacterial discoloration coating the porcelain. A quick swipe with a toilet brush and a flush removes everything cleanly. This is far less harsh on the porcelain and on your lungs than bleach-based toilet cleaners, and it is safe for your septic system because it breaks down completely into harmless byproducts. Number 10. The Pet Odor Neutralizer. When a pet has an accident on carpet, the smell comes from bacteria breaking down the uric acid in urine. Blot up as much of the liquid as possible first with paper towels. Then pour 3% hydrogen peroxide, about a quarter cup mixed with a tiny drop of dish soap, over the affected area. Let it sit for 10 minutes, then blot it up without rubbing. The peroxide neutralizes the uric acid through oxidation and kills the bacteria responsible for the ongoing smell. Always test a hidden area of carpet first because peroxide can lighten some fabric dyes, but on most carpets it's completely safe and far more effective than commercial enzyme sprays. Number 9. The Dishwasher Deep Sanitizer. The interior of your dishwasher, especially the door seal and the spray arms, harbors mold and bacteria that your regular wash cycle does not fully address. Pour 1 cup of 3% hydrogen peroxide into the bottom of an empty dishwasher and run a hot cycle. The peroxide circulates through the machine's internal components, sanitizing the spray arms, the sump, and all the surfaces you never see or touch. Grandma did not have a dishwasher, but she would have absolutely approved of this monthly maintenance trick. Number 8. The Tile Floor Shine. Add 1 cup of 3% hydrogen peroxide to your regular mop bucket filled with warm water. Mop your tile floors as you normally would. The peroxide sanitizes the floor surface as you clean, killing the bacteria and mold spores that accumulate between grout lines and on the tile surface. It leaves a clean, faintly brightened finish without any soapy residue. Unlike many floor cleaners, it rinses fully clean and you do not need a second pass with plain water. Number 7. The Lunchbox Refresh. Kids' lunchboxes and lunch bags develop mold in the seams, in the corners, and around the zipper pulls from repeated exposure to food moisture. Wipe or spray every interior surface with 3% hydrogen peroxide and let it sit for 5 minutes before wiping dry. Pay special attention to the corners and the seal along the zipper. The peroxide reaches into those seams and kills mold spores that soap and water miss. Let it air out fully before packing it again. Doing this weekly keeps lunchboxes genuinely hygienic rather than just surface clean. Number 6. The Shower Curtain Mold Killer. The pink and black slime that grows along the bottom of your shower curtain liner is a combination of mold and bacteria that thrives in constant moisture. Fill a spray bottle with undiluted 3% hydrogen peroxide and spray the entire bottom section of your liner thoroughly. Let it sit for 30 minutes and then rinse under the shower. The peroxide penetrates the mold colonies and oxidizes them at the root, not just bleaching the surface appearance, but actually eliminating the organisms causing it. Doing this once a week prevents regrowth from establishing itself. Number 5. The Tupperware Stain Lifter. Tomato-based sauces leave that orange-red staining on plastic containers because the pigment molecules in tomato actually bond to the plastic surface. Fill the stain container with a mixture of 3% hydrogen peroxide and a small amount of dish soap, and leave it in direct sunlight for several hours. The combination of peroxide and UV light from the sun dramatically accelerates the oxidation process, breaking down those bonded pigment molecules and lifting the staining out of the plastic. This is one of those hacks that feels almost magical when you see it work. Number 4. The Cooler Cleaner. Camping coolers spend months in garages and sheds between uses, often with traces of food and moisture inside that develop into genuine mold colonies. Before the season starts, spray the entire interior of your cooler with 3% hydrogen peroxide. Close the lid and let it sit for 15 minutes. Then wipe it out and leave the lid open to dry fully in the air. This eliminates the biological growth that would otherwise contaminate your food and drinks next time you pack it. Grandma always prepped her picnic equipment the day before any outing, and this was exactly the kind of practical habit that kept everyone healthy. Number 3. The Keyboard Clean. Keyboards are among the highest touch, most rarely cleaned surfaces in most homes. Dip a cotton swab in 3% hydrogen peroxide and work it carefully between and around each key. You will see the swab pick up a disturbing amount of discoloration from bacteria and oils that have accumulated over time. The peroxide sanitizes as it cleans, killing the bacteria without damaging the electronic components, since you are using a lightly dampened swab rather than any liquid spray. Turn your keyboard off or disconnect it first, work section by section, and let everything dry fully before using it again. Number 2. The Foot Soak for Health. Mix about 3 cups of 3% hydrogen peroxide into a basin of warm water and soak your feet for 20 to 30 minutes. The peroxide softens thickened, calloused skin, making it dramatically easier to gently file away with a pumice stone afterward. More importantly, it kills the fungal organisms responsible for athletes' foot and nail fungus, which thrive in the warm, damp environment between toes. Grandma kept her feet remarkably healthy well into old age, and this weekly ritual was a significant part of why. The skin feels noticeably softer, and the antifungal benefit is real and clinically supported. And here we are. Number 1. The Food Grade Distinction. This is the hack that sits underneath every other hack on this list, and ignoring it can be genuinely dangerous. Hydrogen peroxide comes in different concentrations, and this matters enormously. The brown bottle you buy at any drugstore contains 3% hydrogen peroxide, meaning it is 97% water. This is the concentration that is safe for all the uses we have talked about today. Safe on skin, safe on food surfaces, safe to use around children and pets. Then there is 35% food-grade hydrogen peroxide, which is a completely different product. It is marketed as drinkable or suitable for internal use by some alternative health communities, but 35% concentration is extremely corrosive. It can cause serious chemical burns on skin and in the throat and stomach, if ingested even in very small amounts. It is not safe to drink, despite what some websites claim. Grandma's brown bottle was always 3%. Always. That is the version that works gently, effectively, and safely for every single hack on this list. Never substitute a higher concentration thinking it will work better or faster. It will not work better. It will just be dangerous. Buy the standard 3% from the pharmacy aisle. Keep it in the original brown bottle because light degrades it, and replace it every few months as it loses potency over time. That brown bottle Grandma kept under the sink was one of the most practical things in her home, and now you know exactly why. 25 hacks, one incredibly affordable bottle, and decades of practical wisdom that most people simply never got around to learning. Share this with someone who needs it, because this is the kind of knowledge that makes everyday life genuinely easier.